On today's video, we're talking about how to bust through a fat loss plateau. Boom! What's up, everybody? Josiah Novak of thetruetransformation.com. And on today's video, I'm taking a question from my Instagram DMs. If you're not following me on Instagram, that's my Instagram handle below at Josiah Fitness. And today's question was, how do I get through a fat loss plateau? How, when fat loss slows down, do I make adjustments so that I continue to lose fat? Now, this is a very, very common question. I probably get this question at least once a week, if not more. And when we talk about fat loss and plateaus, there's a couple things to keep in mind. Fat loss is not always going to be linear, meaning we're not always going to lose the same amount of fat each and every week. And there's different reasons for this, right? And from a scientific perspective, it's important to understand that the body is not a perfectly well-oiled machine that is going to pump out fat if you do a certain amount of activity or eat a certain amount of food consistently. You're going to have variations week to week of fat loss based off of stress, sleep, different factors with your workouts, different levels of intensity. Your metabolism's adapting, obviously, to your calorie intake and your energy output. There's a lot of things going on. It's important to not get so caught up in how fast you're losing fat week over week over week. What we want to do is we want to keep the big picture in perspective. Long term, if you're doing things properly and you've set up your diet, your nutrition, your training, your rest, your recovery, your supplementation, all those things the right way, you're going to get to your goal. It just might not take the amount of time you think it will. Okay, so here's the thing. When you've run into a situation where you feel like you've plateaued with your fat loss, the number one thing I highly suggest doing is doing an analysis of everything you have going on in regards to your training, nutrition, your activity, your sleep, your stress management, and just making sure that those areas are well taken care of. Because here's the thing. A lot of times when we see a lot of fat loss progression early on, that's just a result of coming into a fat loss phase after being in a kind of like a I don't really give a crap phase about what I'm doing and I'm just eating whatever. Training when I feel like it, not really tracking activity. And then I start cleaning things up, and obviously the body responds really fast because we went from not doing a whole lot of organized diet and training and everything like that to being super organized, super on point, and fat loss starts to happen rapidly. But then things slow down. The body is like, whoa, wait a second. We're not gonna just lose water weight and fat loss. You know, we're not gonna lose all this at this high rate forever. At some point, things are gonna slow down, and that's just part of the process. So when they do slow down, it's important to take a look at the details and make sure that you're on top of the things that matter. The first thing that matters is what you're putting in your body, and specifically how much food you're eating. I am a fan of tracking your calories and your macros, at least for a period of time, so that you start to understand what certain amount of food look like, how much food you're really able to eat on certain levels of calories, and just being really well educated around food in general. Is tracking calories and nutrients something I recommend forever? Not really, right? Unless you're the person who just really enjoys it and it's a healthy lifestyle for you and you feel mentally really healthy while doing it. But a lot of times it becomes overkill. It's almost as if you become obsessed with the numbers. However, there is a time and a place to start tracking and making sure that your numbers are where they need to be. And one of those times is when you plateau with fat loss. So if fat loss slows down, you're not seeing any changes in the mirror, the scale, or measurements, it's important to just say, okay, if you're not tracking already, if you're kind of loosely just monitoring your food, it's important to go, okay, let's start tracking. Let's start putting things in an app like MyFitnessPal or Fat Secret and making sure the calories and the nutrients are where they need to be. Okay, so that's step number one. If you haven't been doing that, then make sure you do that. Now, step number two, if you have been tracking your calories and you're just not seeing the progress that you want to see, then we need to analyze our activity. What we put in our body, it's so much easier to overeat than it is to like out-train a poor diet, right? So if we are nailing our calorie goals, but we're just not seeing the progress that we want to see, then I would take a close look at your daily activity. Now, this doesn't mean like your workouts, maybe a cardio session here and there. If those things are in place, then obviously we need to get those things in place, but we need to take a look at our NEAT, which is our non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And that is all the activity you're doing day to day while you're at work, at home, your commute, all this stuff. A lot of people these days are living a very sedentary lifestyle, and that involves a lot of sitting at a computer, sitting in the car, sitting on the couch, not doing a whole lot to utilize the food and energy that we're putting in our body and burn enough calories to allow the body to actually lose fat. So when we start a fat loss diet, we might start going to the gym more. Maybe we start doing a little bit of cardio. Our activity starts to go up, but then our metabolism adjusts and we eat, roughly the amount of food we need to maintain our weight based off this new activity. So what we need to do is take a look at how much activity am I doing throughout the day? And the fastest, easiest way to do that is to just track your steps. I do recommend for most people to get some sort of tracking device. Makes it easier, makes it much more consistent. And I have a watch. You can get the link below if you want to get my TrueFit brand watch. Shameless plug, of course. But this will track your steps, okay, if you wear it throughout the day. It'll track your movement. And what that'll do is give you an idea of where you are right now, and then potentially an opportunity to start increasing your activity, to start getting fat loss moving again, getting things going again so that you start to see the progress you want to see. As far as how much activity to do, that's going to vary depending on the person. What I always say is wherever you are now, just start slowly increasing that. The third step when you've hit a fat loss plateau or you feel like you've hit a plateau is to take a look at the factors that a lot of people don't consider. Those three are your water intake, your sleep, and your stress management. Losing fat is a stressor on the body. Even if you are extremely overweight and you have 100 pounds to lose, or if you're 20 pounds away from your goal, losing weight, losing tissue is a stressor on the body. It will become a stressful situation as you start to burn off fat. If we're not managing stress in our entire life properly, right? If we're not setting time aside to relax, setting time aside to reflect and be present and slow down a little bit, that puts the body under a lot of duress. And it actually can cause fat loss to slow down. Coupled with that, our sleep. Sleep is a huge factor. If you're not getting enough sleep or you're not getting quality sleep, then you need to start taking a look at your sleep patterns, your morning routine, your evening routine, your day-to-day caffeine consumption. Starting to dial those factors in, because I'll tell you right now, if you go from really poor sleep patterns and you're losing a little bit of fat but not seeing the fast results or the consistent results you want, and you start to get your sleep dialed in, you're gonna see a big shift, like a huge shift. The third thing is water. A lot of people just forget to drink enough water throughout the day. They're moving more, they're eating well, they're getting decent sleep, but their water intake just isn't great. So their body is retaining a lot of water, which can prevent you from thinking, okay, things are moving forward. All right, because you don't see the scale moving. You don't see that couple pounds of weight loss every week. You're like, what is going on? But drink more water. I recommend for most people 3 to 5 liters a day. Once again, this is going to vary from person to person, so make sure you're getting enough water intake. Take a look at your urine, and if it's got a slight tint of yellow, then you're probably well hydrated. Okay, but just monitor your thirst. Make sure that you're not allowing yourself to get overly thirsty throughout the day, and just getting consistent amount of water in your day-to-day intake. The last piece to all this, oftentimes we think we've hit a plateau when we really haven't. We might see the rate of fat loss slow down and we think, oh my gosh, I've hit a plateau. But what we might just need to do is recalibrate the way we think about progress and the way we think about the speed that we should be getting progress. What I mean by that is we often think that we should be losing loads and loads of fat every week. That's just not the case. The clients I work with, when they're in our programs and they're getting coaching from me and my team, our expectation for most people is about a half a pound to 2 pounds at most of fat loss per week. That doesn't mean the scale comes down that much either. You might be adding muscle tissue. You might be having a day or two here and there where sodium intake is higher or water intake is higher, or you're eating high fiber foods that are causing more retention inside the body that doesn't allow the scale to move as fast. So you need to make sure your expectations are properly set. And what I always often suggest is don't look at things week to week. Look at things from a bigger picture perspective. So day to day, focus on the tasks and things you can control. But then from a data perspective, start to look at things in like a 14 to 30 day window. So if, let's say, for example, You know, the first few weeks of your nutrition and workout plan, you're losing fat and you see the scale really moving. And then over the course of the next few weeks, things start to slow down. The scale doesn't really move. But if you look at the first 4 to 6 weeks, you've lost on average a pound a week. You know, 4 to 6 pounds down. Even though the last week you didn't lose anything, you're still on pace. Okay, so give it time. Slower is better when it comes to fat loss. Why? Because I've been in this game for 15 years. I've seen a lot of clients go through the transformation process, and I can tell you right now, the ones who take it slow and consistent and really just focus on the day-to-day process and not getting frustrated with, you know, slow results or whatever, they're the ones who tend to get lean, right? They don't give up, and they keep the results. The ones who rush into things and the people who try to go for fast, breakthrough plateaus and just burn, they're the ones who tend to get burned out, shockingly enough. And then they're also the ones that tend to pack on the weight after they've lost it, which is not what we want, obviously. We want to get lean and stay lean forever, right? That's the whole idea. Hopefully this video was helpful. If it was, do me a huge favor, hit subscribe. Below, hit the little bell next to it just so you're notified when I release a video. And check out the links in the description of the video. I have a couple free resources for you, free books, free guides that will help you get started on your transformation journey, help you get the process going, help you get the things lined up that you need to get lined up in order to see transformation happen. I also have links to my recommended supplements. I prefer, I should say, to have your nutrition, training, sleep, stress management, lifestyle, all those things lined up before you start adding in a bunch of supplements. But if you're at that point and you're like, I'm not sure which supplements I should be taking, the brand that I recommend is below, and the link is there if you want to check that out. Like I said, I am taking questions on my Instagram, on my Twitter, on all my social media. So if you DM me on those platforms and it's a great question, I'll save it and I'll use it for a future YouTube video, and would be happy to help you out. So like I said, if the video is helpful, be sure to subscribe, and I'll talk to you on the next video. Peace.